have a few veterans we need to remember tonight. One, the mayor mentioned in our last meeting, but it is George Roth. He passed away at the age of 97 on September 5th. A World War II Navy veteran, graduated 43 from high school and served on the USS Fiberling. He continued his career after the war at the Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, where he was a nuclear non-destructive test examiner and proud Union president. Lifelong member of the American Legion, he and his wife of 75 years worked as caretakers and docents at the John Greenleaf Whittier Home and Museum in Amesbury. After his first attempt at retirement, he maintained the Wheeler Wright Home for aged women in Newburyport. At Joppa native, George spent much of his second retirement serving local causes, most notably lobbying local officials for improved ambulance service and honoring the elder and veteran benefits and supporting the establishment of the senior center. Pretty sure I remember getting a packet my first week after getting elected 6 years ago from Mr. Rofe. Another person to remember is Patrick Lee Marsh, 80 years old. Patrick was born in Seattle, Washington, but came to Massachusetts at the age of 18 when he enlisted with the U.S. Coast Guard, stationed at the Salem Air Station in Salem, Mass. He met his wife and had 2 daughters there. After his enlistment, he served as a special police officer in Danvers and then took a job with the Newburyport Police Department as a police officer and captain of our first dive team. He attended the Framingham State Police Academy, graduating in '72, where he won the revolver shooting competition with a score of 340 out of 360, highest marks ever recorded at the academy at the time. He served Newburyport and the surrounding communities for 25 years. Another veteran to remember. And last but not least is Peter Brigham de Moranville. He passed away at 84, September 6. He was born in Boston but raised in Newburyport, where his father operated the J.J. Newberry's on Pleasant Street for many years. After graduating from Newburyport High in '58, he attended BU and then enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps with great pride. In 1964, he went on to work at the Household Finance Company, where he retired as a certified financial planner and stockbroker. With a mind for contributing to his community of Newburyport, he proudly served on the Newburyport Planning Board for over 20 years, the Howard Benevolent Charitable Foundation, the Wheelwright Scientific School Foundation, and the Newburyport Education Foundation. He enjoyed riding his Harley-Davidson in his younger years, and he was an avid and accomplished bird carver. And I think if you look at the picture in the paper, you would notice a very kind picture of a man carving a very sweet bird. 3 veterans we should keep in mind tonight with a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Jones, if you would call the roll.
Councilor Farrell.
Present.
Councilor Preston.
Here.
Councilor Vogel.
Present.
Councilor Wallace is absent. Councilor Wright.
Here.
Councilor Z. Here. Councilor Cameron is on his way.
Is getting promoted in right now, but will be here shortly.
So he is remote. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Cameron is here. Thank you.
Wonderful. Councilor Donahue. Councilor Donahue.
Present.
Thank you. Councilor Khan.
Present.
Councilor Lane.
Here.
And Council President Sheehan.
Present.
We have more than a quorum.
Late files.
We have 2 late files you'll see on your desk. The first is from the Chamber of Commerce with respect to a beer garden on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekends, October 20th and others. And then there's an Indigenous Peoples Day request to have Metsy's Food Truck be located on Merrimack Street on October 7th.
Motion to waive the rules and accept the late files.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Z?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shin.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, public comment. So for all those online, please raise your hand now. So we have your hand up when the clerk gets back from bringing back the chart from the door. So I see 2 hands. I see Owen Smith and I see Christine Malpica. Is there anyone else who wants to participate via Zoom in public comment? All right, seeing no hands, and the clerk is back. So Owen and Christina, you will be first. Owen Smith, I'm going to allow you to speak. 1 second. There we go. So name, address, and you have 2 minutes.
Yes, good evening, Council President, City Councilors. Owen Smith, over at 175 Story Avenue. I would like to express my support for Order 492, which is the fiscal year 2024 supplemental budget appropriation fund. I'm glad to see that the administration is working to address our staffing shortages at DPS. I hope that the City Council moves on this awareness as time is away. We need to be able to attract the best talent possible to help manage operations and projects at DPS. Bringing on people on board now will prepare us to be better able to address our pressing needs. These are investments. We must offer competitive salaries for essential city personnel. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Next is Christine Malpica, and I have allowed you to speak. Ms. Malpica, name, address, and you have 2 minutes.
Hi, good evening, councilors. And my name is Christine Malpica. I live at 7 Boardman Street. And I'm here to represent the Newburyport Indigenous Peoples Day event on Saturday, October 7th at the Waterfront Park. And we're just here to request the parking of Metsy's food truck for the event.
Thank you, Ms. Malpica. You might want to stick around just in case Councilor Vogel has a question later on. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, coming back into council chambers. First on the list is Judy Timon.
Good evening, Judy Timon, 39 Lime Street. I want to thank the council for your continued efforts to redevelop the Brown School. As you all know, the Brown School is an asset that belongs to the entire community, and it's one of the few parcels, municipal parcels, that's still under our control. Based on the RFI responses, I have little confidence that there will be a proposal for less than 30 units. So I am urging you to issue an RFP for as many units as possible, and that those units be all affordable. We don't need market rate housing in the city of Newburyport. The current median assessed value of a single-family home, according to the city's assessor's records, is $750,000. That requires a yearly household income of $180,000 to afford. I think we need housing for the rest of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Timon. Next is Nancy Peace.
Don't stand on any chairs. That's why I'm limping. Good evening, councilors. My name is Nancy Peace. I live at 23 Pleasant Street. I am a past president of the YWCA, and I am also speaking on behalf of the Brown School Project. Like Judy, I'm delighted that you had sent out the request for information, and now that you're moving, hopefully, to a request for proposals. And as we know, based on the responses to the request for information, none of the folks who responded could put in a proposal for a project limited to only 20 units of housing. Even the market rate proposal was for 32 units of housing. As Judy noted, there is plenty of market rate housing being developed in the city today. There is a staggering need for affordable housing, something I'm learning because I'm trying to help a friend who's become guardian of a child and has a low income, and it's been really challenging. So I have a personal interest in this issue as well. The gym has remained unused since the Newburyport Youth Services vacated the building. Newburyport certainly needs affordable housing more than it needs a gym. This is one of the last parcels of land controlled by the city, which can be converted into 100% deeply affordable housing, serving the lowest income households and not market rate with only a couple of affordable housing units. I would hope that any RFP issued by the city would be to develop the maximum number of deeply affordable housing units and not the minimum number of units, even if that means elimination of the gym. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you. Next is Virginia Rizzo.
Hi, my name is Virginia Rizzo. I live at 21 Monroe Street, and I have some questions. First, is there anything I can do to preserve our neighborhoods and to preserve our streets from becoming overwhelmed? Number two, is there any kind of zoning law that prohibits an LLC business in a residential area and that uses our streets for parking their cars for that business too? As of last November, the house next door to me was rented, not purchased, but rented, at 23 Monroe. This couple has 5 Teslas that he rents, a pickup truck, as well as a barking dog. He parks his 6 vehicles all around our neighborhood and in our parking lots during snow emergencies and keeps them there for over 48 hours. Yikes.
Ms. Rizzo, this is not, we typically limit public comment to items that are on our agenda. Is there something on the agenda that you're speaking to, or is this just a?
I was told it was a public hearing.
I'll let you continue, but.
We need to have some kind of permit system for parking in these lots and in our streets. If you have more than 2 cars per home, then this city needs to do something. If you have 3, 4, 5, or even 6 cars, it just isn't right. His website is Teslas to Rent LLC. He uses 40 R Merrimack Street as his business address, and he uses the MBA train station for his drop-off and pickup locations, but he parks and charges his cars at his house, as I have seen folks picking their cars there. Number 3, can any department in this city check this out? I have contacted the owners of 23 Monroe Street. They are not doing anything. I have contacted the renters at 23 Monroe Street. They just ignore me. I have contacted our city's different departments. Some have gotten back to me, but generally they can't do anything. So I'm asking for your help to start implementing or changing our city laws before the city becomes a free-for-all for businesses and renters and parkers alike.
Thank you, Ms. Rizzo.
Okay, thank you.
Last is Jane Snow.
Jane Snow, 9 Coffin Street. Now that we have the RFIs in, I was glad to see that we did get some responses, but I'm also here to remind the people, especially the ad hoc committee for the Brown School, that you promised once they came back that there would be lots of public comment, because to date we've had very little public comment or resident input on the use of the Brown School, and so I'm just reminding you that I will be patiently waiting and looking for when we're holding those meetings and giving the neighborhood a chance to speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Snow. That is it for public comment. Mayor's comment.
Good evening. Thanks for having
We had a preliminary election on Tuesday, September 19th. I want to give a big shout out to Clerk Jones and his team for putting on this dress rehearsal for the November 7th election. Everything went well. We have early voting coming up at the Senior Center starting on October 28th, and that will run till Friday, November 3rd. Brown School, as you've heard from some public comment tonight, is in your packet. The request for information we got back, that closed on September 8th. We did get 4 responses, and we turned that in along with a memo. Moving forward, I would love to hear the comments from, I guess, the ad hoc committee on the request for information. On the administrative side, we are thinking about putting together our own request for proposal. I think this is an issue we've been following for a long time. I do think we need to get some more concrete information, and the way I look at it, everything that I do needs to be approved by City Council anyways, so we'd like to try to put some things together and hopefully narrow down the focus and get some more information about what actually is viable there. I do think particularly the three proposals that we received that had some more specific information really told us a lot about what is viable as far as units and gyms and things like that, but I do think we can even narrow that down even more and see what's actually doable. I think the focus is still maximizing what we can there for senior affordable housing, and we just have to find a path to do that there. Short-term rental units, I think you all had a great first meeting around that. I hope you continue to talk. Like I said, I know there's no perfect plan out there, but I do believe that there is a compromise, so I hope you continue talking around short-term rental units. It really, I think it's going to put the best foot forward for the city, having something on the books that we can regulate and that we can enforce. Streets and sidewalks plan. So I apologize. This is taking a lot longer to come back with you with an updated plan. As you know, our new DPS director, Wayne Amrald, wasn't the architect of the original plan. I really want him to put his fingerprints all over this plan. He just has a great mind for it. He has a great experience and background in it. It is taking a little bit longer, especially updating numbers. We had numbers that don't quite match up to what numbers are now for doing a lot of these streets and sidewalks. We had a great meeting about it this week. We're going to continue working this week. I think we're going to have something. I was hoping to have something for you by Friday. I think we'll probably go into next week, but I just wanted to give you an update that we are working. We're going through each year of this, the current 5-year plan. Like I said, this is a rolling plan, so we did year 1. We're now in the next 5 years, and this actually goes right in line with the bond that is still sitting in committee. So we want to give you actually really solid numbers about what the next 5 years are going to look like for streets and sidewalks. Like I said, nothing's inexpensive, so I want to make sure you know that we're looking at every single dollar and how we're prioritizing that's going to be spent over the next 5 years. So, and I think Wayne's doing a great job. It's just taking a lot longer than we thought to go through this, and that just says a lot to Wayne and the thoroughness that he's bringing to the job. We started a Council of Aging shuttle to the boardwalk. We're doing these on Thursdays at 10 a.m. You can park your car at the Senior Center. They're going to get dropped off right between Tuscan and the boardwalk there where the handicap spaces are in the loading zone. We've had a couple of these already. We're going to, it's going to be a beautiful day on Thursday. So if more seniors start taking advantage of this, we'd like to add more days and times, maybe have an afternoon and morning shuttle to get down there. We know how enjoyable it is for seniors to get down the boardwalk. We want to make it as easy as possible. I want to thank Paula Burke and her team for working with me and getting this started down there. Solid waste contract. I know we have a couple councilors working on this with our Board of Health and Sustainability Director. We did get 2 bids. We actually released a survey today that we're anxious to see. That was our first flash vote that I've spoken to you about before. So we're looking forward to seeing what the responses look like for that. But we'll be coming to you with that information shortly. In your packet tonight is the order for officially establishing the Recreation and Youth Services Department. I think this is a great opportunity to look at what we're already doing in this department. This isn't actually proposing anything new, but it's just kind of formalizing what we're already doing. And then since we have moved parks under the DPS, taking on that all ages recreation piece of that department, just formalizing that in an order. And I look forward to having that discussion. Health department's been busy. We had a great vaccine clinic that was run at the Senior Community Center last week. We are seeing a little bit of a bump in COVID numbers, so just for everyone, tests and masks are still available here at City Hall, and we have some more vaccine clinics and booster clinics coming up, so just check out our health department website. I had a great meeting with Anajax Hospital this week. The new president, Dr. Glenn Folk, he was head of surgery, and now he's moved over head of medical, and now he's moved over to take over as president. We had a really great informative discussion about what's going on at Anna Jake's. He's really trying to hit the ground running with staff and equipment. In fact, one of the things he mentioned was a new CAT scan. Now, I remember that was an issue earlier last year. Now we're up to 2 full-time running CAT scans, which is great. We also talked about some staffing, so I look forward to continuing to work with him and partner with the hospital moving forward. This is a new program I just wanted to mention, first-time homebuyer program called Homeport. I want to thank the Affordable Housing Trust and Caitlin Sullivan in the planning office for putting this together. This is going to help people moving forward with down payment and closing costs. This is an assistant program for them. These will be for, the goal is to increase home ownership in the low, moderate income households. And the maximum assistance is $20,000. But if you're looking for more information around that, that can be found on the planning department website. But I'm really happy that that program's getting off the ground. I came up with Homeport, so I think that's pretty cool that it's actually happening. So I'm excited about that. We have an MVPC public forum on housing this Thursday. As you know, we're working with them on our housing production plan. They're hosting, this is a virtual meeting this Thursday session, and a lot of other communities will be involved, but they'll actually have a breakout room for Newburyport. So if you're interested in that, you can register to attend that public meeting. And lastly, the MVP Grants Project. This has been getting a lot of press lately, and we've talked about it before, but they actually have a meeting tomorrow night that they'll be talking about this kickoff. It's an 18-month project. It's all being led by the Resiliency Committee. And a lot of this is all around educating the public on all these different issues. They're actually getting grant requests, mini grants that they'll be able to give out through this program, and they'll actually have some positions that they're hiring to help manage this project through too, and that's all on the city website as well. And that is it from me.
Questions?
Sorry, it's a little long-winded.
Councilor Wright.
It's not on your update from today, but on your last update, you talked about the bulkhead project.
Sure.
I just want to make sure that we received all the eligible grants, that they've all been approved.
Yeah, we are good. So yeah, we couldn't have moved forward with it until we got that last, it was the biggest hurdle we had to jump through was FEMA and that earmark that we got from Congressman Moulton's office. So once we got the okay with that, that's when we started moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Yep.
Councilor Donahue has her hand up. Councilor Donahue?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm sorry, President. I do have, I guess, a question and comment sort of on the mayor's update. With the RFI's responses we received for the Brown School, I really would like us to formally have a community meeting on this. It's just, I can't stress enough the importance of actually bringing in the community at this point before we go forward with any kind of formal proposal for a project or development. To one of the public commenters' points, this is really long overdue and something I have been bringing up consistently. And before we move forward, can you speak to that? Is that something that administration would be willing to coordinate with the public to really have a proper meeting?
Councilor Donahue, I can comment on that. I mean, it's going to go to the General Government Committee, and we can certainly include or advertise it as a community meeting when we review the RFIs. So that's not a problem. It'll just be part of the General Government meeting.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
And I would just piggyback on that, like, what the administration's thinking about doing shouldn't stop what the council's process is, right? Like, I mean, I see a building that's just crumbling day after day, and I've actually been in there quite a bit recently. And I just want to see what more information we can gather. And so I just feel like I'm going to hopefully save us a little bit of time while this process is still happening. I think we should have a ton of public meetings. I'm really just going to look at the responses we got and the information that we were gathered, and then all the other information that we've gathered over the years about what could possibly work in that building. And then we're going to be able to check some things off the list, whether it can work or not there. I mean, I'm hopefully that's the process. And if you don't like what I bring you for an RFP, then you guys can just receive and file it and never take it up either. So again, the only time that I think I'd be wasting is my office and the planning office time trying to put this together and get some more information. But in my head, I just see a building that's crumbling, and I don't see a path forward here that's going to move us in a direction anytime soon. So this is something we can do in the meantime and hopefully gather some more information.
Okay, I don't disagree about the building, I just, would really like the public input, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Donahue. Councilor Vogel?
Yeah, just kind of following on the same theme. I think I'm looking for a little bit of clarity. I'm kind of confused and wondering exactly what point it is you're trying to make. I mean, not that it really matters because I'm, on the last train to Clarksville here, but you state in your memo, you make clear, you say that you will plan to ask for proposals to prioritize the preservation of the gym and to include as many affordable units as possible with a unit count that does not exceed 30. So in all of this time that we have spent on the Brown School, way back to when it was still operating for youth services, the prioritization of the gym, the words priority and the gym, I don't ever recall being in the same sentence. And I'm wondering, I mean, it's always been affordable housing, senior affordable housing, housing, whatever it might be. And here you have written to us, or written, not this memo is different, your verbiage in the update is different than what you put in the memo on the reporting on the RFIs. And I'm wondering, is now the preservation of the gym your priority with that building?
The gym's always been a priority of mine, as well as maximizing senior affordable housing. I think what the RFIs told me was that, the numbers are so far out of the realm of what it's already zoned for. So why not try to keep the gym and see what we can get for proposals on maximizing as much as possible senior affordable housing there. Right now, I don't see a path to go over 30 units. So how do we maximize the space and also put us on a path forward? And that's why I'd like to put an RFP to see if that is possible.
Okay, I think it's just kind of interesting that we're moving forward, or you're moving forward with an RFP when there hasn't been any public input. I mean, I got lambasted in the ad hoc committee for not having public input when all I was trying to do in that meeting was put together an RFI, which was an asking for information. I didn't feel as though we needed anybody else asking us what information we needed, because we were asking for every piece of information there was. And here you're moving forward and putting out an RFP without any public comment, or without even any scrutiny by the city council at the moment. And I find that discouraging. And I find it also a little bit sort of misleading, if you will, and I just don't get it. It seems like you say you're talking about wasting perhaps your time and perhaps the time of the planning department, but what are we doing? Why should we even bother? Right? I don't get it. And
I would say, if I can respond, I would say the ultimate decision is the city council's.
Right.
So I'm trying to bring a proposal for you to discuss and bring on. We have over 10 years of public comment around this building since 2013. So I don't think this is going to be done in a vacuum. This is going to be done with a thoughtful listening of the public. And again, the gym was talked about very positively over that process. And right now, I just don't think we're in the position to get rid of gym. So why not see if it's viable or not? Maybe the process will tell us that it's not. I don't know. But let's see how it fits into the current zoning, or how far over the current zoning that a developer thinks we can go.
I'll make one last comment, and I appreciate your indulgence, Council President. I'll make one last comment, and again, I'm probably not going to be around to see it, but I think that what's happening, and I'm saying this in public, is that we have squashed the continuing effort, it seems to me, on Low Street. We killed that bill. We killed the bond bill. So the money is now just kind of floating around. We don't know what we're going to ever bond for that $5 million. We haven't seen a plan. And my guess is that if we get a gym, if you revitalize that gym at the Brown School in the middle of the intense neighborhood, we'll never see a gym at Low Street. And I'll say that publicly. And it's really discouraging. I am here sitting at this table right now because of youth services. That's where I got involved. 5 years I chaired the commission, and that's what got me involved. And it's extremely, extremely discouraging that bill and that building is gone up in air, and you're prioritizing the Brown School gym because you like to play basketball over there. Thank you for your indulgence.
Well, I'll just say it's more than a gym. I think it's a community space. I envision it as being an arts arts and recreation space in the south end. I'm glad you're going out on a high note, just like you always do.
All right.
Glad I'm going out.
Counselor Cameron, I see you had your hand up.
Yeah, just to, I really, yeah, it's Mayor's comment, but, yeah, I'm encouraged that, to move forward on an RFP, I think makes sense. I think, in hindsight, I think that made sense a long time ago. I'm told that most other communities don't vet RFPs and that sort of procurement process quite in the way that we did, and that had a lot of fits and starts. I think people know where I'm at on the Brown School, and senior affordable housing is definitely priority number one. I'm not 1,000,000% opposed to a gym or whatever, community space, theater, let's turn the barn into a theater kind of thing. But that will increase community impacts, but we'll settle that all out in the process. And I hope there's not, we need youth services as well. I hope there's never going to be a quid pro quo. Well, now that there's a gym there, we're not going to do what we need to do for youth services there. And again, we'll have plenty of time to argue that all out. But I think at least moving forward on a RFP makes me encouraged rather than discouraged, and we will continue to discuss.
Further comment? Thank you, Mayor.
All right, have a great night.
Thank you.
All right, the consent agenda.
The consent agenda this evening consists of the following. The approval of minutes for September 11th. We have three communications. Communication 506, which is the memo on the aforementioned Brown School EOIs, expressions of interest. Has to go to General Government and Committee of the Whole. Application 159 is for a movable sign by Grand Trunk at the corner of Center and Water Street for license and permits. Application 160 is for a movable sign by Grand Trunk again at the corner of Liberty and State Street, again license and permits. Transfer 169 from the Mayor's Office on Park Maintenance Fund, $10,000, same amount to Highway Downtown Parklets. To go to Budget and Finance, one appointment, Janet Collette, 16 Woodland Street, to the Cultural Council until 10/1/2026. The following items are removed from their respective committees. Budget and Finance, transfer 168, order 186, order 187, Community Services, Communication 503, License and Permits, application 158. And that is the consent agenda this evening.
I'd like to remove 506, please, communication 506, and motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call.
Roll call on approving the consent agenda with the removal of communication 506. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion to receive and file the mayor's update.
Second.
Just a quick point of order. That was 506 or 503?
Communication
Brown School,
00506.
506 is the memo on the Brown School EOIs.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Do we have a first and second on that?
I seconded you.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Roll call. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
Councilor Shan?
Yes. So, probably getting to communications.
Yeah, and then we have the two late file communications, application 161, which is,
Motion to refer application 161 to license and permits.
Second.
Councilor Vogel?
I would suggest that we act on it this evening. We won't be able to hear it in time for it to be approved at the next meeting. So I would like to make a motion that we act on it, that we waive the rules and act on it this evening with
Second.
emergency preamble.
So, Councilor McCauley?
Yeah, I'd like, we in our own rules, it states that an emergency isn't because the applicant waited too long. And, we've been lax in following our own rules because we're trying to help the public here. But this is an organization that we deal with all the time. And this isn't just, a block party that we're trying to squeeze in. This has other implications. This has licensing, this has police details, this has trash pickup, which they're relying on us to do that. That's relying on us to provide bathroom facilities, all of those things. As I quickly skimmed through the application that came in here, it's not complete. That's my point, is that in a committee, it would be vetted out, and then they would be much more responsible for some of the things they're asking us to take on in this case. I would rather see it go to licensing and permits myself. They have emergency meeting or something like that we would need to do. Whatever the case may be, I'm always flexible to try to accommodate that, but I don't think this is ready for prime time. Thank you.
So Councilor Vogel, then Councilor Preston.
Thank you. I'm just a little bit, maybe perhaps I'm more confused than I normally think I am. I think that we're talking about an activity on the waterfront park, which is really not our purview, and really what is in our purview is the couple of parking spaces on Merrimack Street. So that's really what we're considering. I don't know about all the rest of it. I think that if the applicant has been in touch with the other city departments, I would also assume that she's in touch with the Parks Department. She's here, we can speak with her, and she's got permits and so on and so forth. All she's asking for is a couple of parking spaces for the truck.
Point of order.
Yeah.
Councilor.
I would agree with the counselor if we were talking about application 162, but we're talking about application 161, which is the beer garden. So maybe that can help clear up the confusion that's there.
Councilor Vogel.
Well, I'll rise to that, but I as far as the 161, we're not going to give these people much time to...
So we're talking about 162 right now. I'm sorry, 161 right now.
Okay, I misunderstood. If I may speak to 161. I would also like to hear this tonight and let it go by so that they can plan and advertise. We're going to be, this is on the 20th, and we're going to be on the 16th, will be the meeting. I guess I'll leave it to council. But we can hear it the week before, bring it to council on the next meeting, and give them 4 days after approval to pull it all together. That's what I see.
Councilor Preston, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. So, I don't disagree that it would have been really wonderful if we could have seen this with more time in front of it. However, we do waive the rules and accept applications like this on a very regular basis. And frankly, this is the Chamber of Commerce who does this on a very, very regular basis. If there's any organization in town that knows how to handle these sorts of events, it's the Chamber of Commerce. And, well, again, I would have liked to have seen more time in front of this. I don't think it is worth giving them only 4 days to advertise before the event. So I was in favor of hearing it out tonight with an emergency preamble. Thank you.
Councilor Zaid.
Thank you, President. I guess, I guess my first suggestion is, I guess we ought to just take a vote on the emergency preamble first, and if that passes, then we can talk about the thing. So I will withdraw my motion to refer.
Thank you.
And I guess if it's solely an emergency, not an emergency plus passing in one, then I think we should consider that. I do have some questions about the event itself, but I'll wait pending that vote.
Withdraw the second.
So I'll make a motion that we prepare emergency preamble in order to discuss this. Is that how it would go?
So you have a motion on the floor, waive the rules, and act on it tonight, which I think you meant emergency preamble.
Yes.
So converting, that you want to waive the rules and an emergency preamble? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
And then passage will be...
That would be 2/3.
I seconded.
Right, and then it would take, then we would motion to approve or not?
With a
To
majority.
approve, yes. Okay, thank you for your help.
So, and the second was Councilor Preston?
Yes.
All right. Roll call on the emergency preamble.
Okay. Everyone know what we're voting on? Councilor McCauley?
No.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
No.
Counselor Cameron.
Yes.
Counselor Donahue.
Yes.
Counselor Khan.
No.
Counselor Lane.
Yes.
Counselor Shan.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Motion to approve?
We don't have, we don't have,
1, 2,
have
3,
seven?
4, 5, 6, 7, needing 8. Motion fails.
Did the, oh, Counselor.
Did I miss anyone?
No.
We should refer to license and permits then.
Second.
I just, I do think that when they come in to the plan, if they are as prepared as we hope they will be, the contingencies that we'd be looking for are a trash plan, police detail, license approval, things like that. That licensing approval, you know, for, this is a beer garden, it needs to be roped off, secured, all of those things. We put our restaurateurs through quite a bit of this when we did outdoor dining and things like that. If they come in with that plan, then, you know, they shouldn't really have to worry that it's only 4 days worth of advertising, because, you know, they probably can advertise in parallel going forward. Thank you.
Counselor Z.
Yeah, I just want to say that two things. One is, there's a lot of this on the council where it's, I don't like this, but I'll vote for it, and it has to come to a head at some point. And what's frustrating for me is that the notice, that the time, it's not for us, it's actually for the public. I mean, does anybody know if the artist shanties will still be on the pop-up park at this time? Or isn't that what's down there right now on the pop-up park? I mean, it's just, it's frustrating, and it's not like pleasuring to say no to this kind of stuff on an emergency preamble, but please, I mean, we do things relatively expediently. I know the council takes a lot for being quote-unquote slow, but typically things turn around in 2 weeks around here. And we're just asking for a little bit of time on something. And lastly, you know, events are really a push on the neighborhood as much as anything else, whether it's the downtown business neighborhood or it's in a neighborhood itself. That's why we ask for a little bit of time. So I hope that this will go through license permits, and they'll get the artist shanties question, the liquor license, since this is a beer garden, and how they're all handling that, which I'm sure they'll figure out. And we'll see it on the 16th.
Thank you, Counselor Z. Further discussion? All right, roll call and sending it to license and permits.
Counselor McCauley?
Yes?
Counselor Preston?
Yes.
Counselor Vogel?
Yes.
Counselor Wright?
yes.
Counselor Zede?
Yes.
Counselor Cameron?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Khan?
Yes.
Counselor Lane?
Yes.
And Counselor Shan.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So if we could rewind the tape, I'd like to make a motion to approve, to emergency preamble and approve application 162.
Second.
Counselor Vogel first, then Counselor Cameron.
Thank you.
Counselor McCauley.
Who's going first? Okay, well, yeah, again, just the thing, this is, you know, this is on the park. All we're asking for here, or there's being asked for, is place to park the Mitzi's truck.
I'd just like to offer an amendment for contingencies of this that we have, that are submitted to the clerk's office, a notice of approval from the health department. I don't believe they need licensing. The health department will be able to do that. And, you know, we should acknowledge that it is a use of a parking spot. Typically, we go through and amend that as well, but I'm sure the parking clerk can work that through as well.
Second.
So it's a friendly amendment accepted?
Sure.
Is the second willing? Yes?
Yes.
So all in one.
So now we have on the floor, I trust it was to waive the rules, declare an emergency, subject to a submission to the clerk's office by the health department.
Right.
And do you want to say approve?
And, yeah.
All in one?
Further discussion? Roll call.
Can I just, just a
Counselor
point of order, we just denied somebody who came in late, and now we're going to approve one right in front of their face. I just wanted to point that out and put that on the record.
Okay.
Further comments? Roll, Counselor Z.
Yeah, with due respect to the Ward 6 counselor, the other event occurs after our next city council meeting. This one occurs before our next city council meeting. We are doing our best here to try and be responsible in balancing the rules with the needs of the people. So Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating to have to do these one after the other, but we are doing our best on behalf of the community. I think this is a responsible thing to do. The next meeting will lapse before this event. Thank you.
Further comments? Roll call.
Roll call on the motion to waive the rules, declare an emergency, and approve. 162. Counsel McCauley?
Yes.
Counsel Preston?
Yes.
Counsel Vogel?
Yes.
Counsel Wright?
Yes.
Counsel Zede?
Yes.
Counsel Cameron?
Yes.
Counsel Donahue?
Yes.
Counsel Khan?
Yes.
Counsel Lane?
Yes.
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 And Counsel Shan?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
May I point of order for clarification on something? I don't know if I was asleep. No, I wasn't. But Communication 506, I just want to clarify what we did with that because...
It's coming up.
Pull
Yeah.
it out.
Oh, okay.
Out of the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But I'm glad you mentioned that, because that should be next.
Okay, great. Sorry.
It's okay. Which is, Communication 506 is the memo on the Brown School EOIs.
Motion to refer to General Government and Committee of the Whole.
Second.
Counselor Z?
Thank you. I had wanted to make some comments, and I thought this would be the most appropriate way to do so. I have to speak, just at least for a few minutes, as my colleagues have been given a little bit of indulgence. So I don't rise in any confusion. We just keep going around in circles, and I, like most ward councilors, have a responsibility to speak for the neighborhood. And as you heard in public comment, somebody from the neighborhood has a view. Respectfully, I don't think that's the prevailing view in the neighborhood. It's not the job of the neighborhood to rise its expectations for how many units a building can hold, simply because developers were unable to meet the requirements that we placed. The zoning was based on what the study of the site was and how much the site could hold, and issuing an RFP for an unlimited number of units is simply illogical, and with due respect to the RFI process, which was quite painful throughout it, we just continue to keep trying to shove a square peg into a round hole. And my view personally is that we are demolishing the Brown School by neglect, by sitting on it indefinitely, thinking that if we just wait long enough, our dreams will come true. And actually, ironically, our dreams are getting further away. It's time for the gym to go back into service. I'm sort of surprised and frustrated by the comments about NYS. For years and years, there was debate about the divorce between NYS and the Brown School. That divorce is final, in my opinion. It's been through the ringer. I have no interest in it personally, but the gym has community value, and there is no argument for why we can't put that back into service for a relatively short amount of money sooner than later, rather than letting the building literally fall apart while we argue about if we can change the laws of physics. And if we just issue another RFP, maybe a magic unicorn will come in and say they can do 5 units and keep the gym and do it 500% affordable. Enough is enough. It's time to get something done on the Brown School, and the gym is a good place to start. And you know, the at-large counselor stated his view on how that relates to NYS, but I just want to make it very clear that in my mind that divorce is final, and actually no desire to take it back. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Z. Further discussion. Counselor McCauley.
Thank you, Council President. I welcome the conversation about the Brown School. I've been asking for it since April, when I filed a piece of legislation that actually activated the Brown School gym and moved the rest of the school into affordable housing, into that matrix. I too will state for the record that the divorce is final. I've come around to a 2-gym solution that I think is very viable for us as a community, but we have to have an honest conversation about it. And I'm disheartened to hear that we can't move forward with the Brown School gym to activate a gym for kids today because we're waiting and we're holding hostage that for youth services. I thought that debate was over. And I hope that debate is over, because I think that what we've shown and the community has shown is that there's a need. There's a need for community type of space here. The gym happens to be a catch-all phrase that we call a gym, but the Brown School is a cafegimatorium, really, and it handles a number of people, as well as people from pickleball and those types of things that can multi-use this type of facility. And so it would be additive to the assets that we have when we eventually get a plan for Low Street. So I welcome this. I welcome the debate. I've always welcomed the debate on this, but I want to have an honest debate about this. And it was helpful to hear feelings from people today, and I hope that in general government, we can sift through that and get to a solution, because the Brown School is under our purview, and we've got to make those decisions on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McCauley. Further discussion. Councilor Khan.
Thank you, Council President. Since we're kind of, I guess, maybe sharing emotions, I might as well chime in here too, because this is a conversation where I think some of you have been part of, maybe some are newer to it, but it's more than just 6 years ago. It's been many, many years since the school was actually surplused from the school committee. So I think one of the things that is important for us to understand is we've all kind of gone on this journey in different ways. Different ways because we did have some public forums, public comments, and this is back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. The gym, you could look at notes, that seems to have come up more when the NYS discussion was happening. That's when the gym and trying to understand, can we keep the gym at the Brown and keep NYS at the Brown? I just want to make it clear that the gym has been kind of this piece, like a pawn. So I am looking forward to seeing what we can continue with. I don't mind the RFP process happening, I really don't. But again, I think it's just important for us to go back maybe and see what the conversation has been around, because affordable housing, as long as I know, has been a key part of that conversation too, and less burden on the community there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Khan. Further discussion.
Was there a second to your motion?
I believe so.
Yeah.
No?
I think Councilor Vogel, but I'll do it.
Either one.
We can't remember.
Sorry. Yeah.
Further discussion. Councilor Donahue. Thank you. Councilor Donahue, you're muted.
Thank you. I got something else stuck on another screen, but can you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Am I unmuted? Yes.
We can hear you.
Thank you, President. I do just feel necessary to chime in here again, and with all due respect to my neighboring Ward 1 councilor, while I do appreciate and understand that your constituents are the block across the street from the Brown School, I also really strongly need to represent my constituents surrounding the Brown School on the other three sides, as well as the building itself. To that end, I can't stress enough that while there may have been conversations continuously had in the past, and also trying to keep the gym, we have not had, say, public input or community hearing. And as far as the preservation of the gym and what I just heard from my fellow councilors, I'm kind of stunned that we would still be, in my opinion, in the opposite thing, holding the building hostage if we're to try to keep this gym space preserved. Nothing is going to happen with it. I don't understand why we're still holding on to that. It's a tight community. There's no parking for theater events, art events, community events. I don't understand what I'm hearing. The only appropriate use is for minimal use by the neighborhood, which really comes down to the neighborhood being able to play basketball at that local gym. I cannot possibly support inundating the neighborhood with events that would require parking that we just don't have there. So I don't understand how the priority is not accessible, affordable housing, just continuously come up from every public comment we've had. So I'm a little bit perplexed, really. I just don't know what we're doing arguing about the gym still. We can't have both. For short money, I don't believe that's short money. I have not seen a figure to indicate short money to get that gym online and use for our youth. I absolutely see that for youth services in Low Street, but I do not see that as a reality for the gym at the Brown School. So I will yield with that. Thank you.
Thank you. I promise, folks, you're going to have the opportunity to talk at general government. It'll be great. Councilor Zaid.
Thank you, Madam President. I realize, but unreasonable expectations are what are holding the Brown School back from being developed, in my opinion. I guess I have one side of the Brown School, so perhaps I don't understand the constituents as well, but I've been around it for a while. As the at-large councilor mentioned, it's actually been, I've been on for 8 years, and before then it was, so the school was sunsetted, and on we go. This is not conversation that moves us forward. This is conversation that holds us back. There is no unicorn solution here. It's just like short-term rentals or anything else. The harder we dig in, the less we get done. The councilor stated she doesn't understand why we're talking about this, but just a week ago or so stated a position that she would like to see a developer find a way to keep the gym. So it's hard to peg people's positions when they keep shifting constantly. There's some constants in my mind that have been true, which is that the neighborhood can only take so much, the building can only, and the parcel can only hold so much. Those things haven't changed. If anybody's aware of a plan to make Lime Street wider, please let me know. I'm not aware of that plan. But unfortunately, I am feeling to the point where I'm so impatient and frustrated that I have to feel like I need to be more direct. And councilors argued ad nauseum during the RFI process. Let's just see what the market says. And you got what the market says, and you still don't want to listen to it. At what point will we listen to what the market is telling us? Thank you.
Councilor
I promise to be
Preston.
very brief. So I'm so disheartened by this because I agree with you. I think there are unreasonable expectations. Those unreasonable expectations are that I just hear everybody digging in all over again. We have to have the gym. We can't have the gym. We have to have maximum affordable units. We cannot have any more than 20 units. We have to find compromise or else the building is going to crumble. We cannot dig in on our respective positions on this and not expect the other side to find some sort of middle ground. All of us have to find middle ground or the building is going to crumble. Thank you.
Councilor Lang.
I'm disheartened as well. I'll say that right now. We were just told that we can't get more than 30 units in this building. If you know how affordable housing works, it doesn't ensure that residents get to move from their houses, sell their houses, and go into affordable housing. It doesn't work that way. It's a lottery. It could be somebody from any community in any state, as far as I know, who applies and says that they qualify, so their number gets drawn, they get to get in. You don't get 100% affordable housing. You cannot build what you need to build and remediate this building at 100% affordable housing. I know it's a great daydream and it's a real feel-good message to say, let's just have it, be cheap, affordable housing for the neighborhood, and they can all sell and go in and enjoy life down in the south end of Newburyport. The gym, if you look at the setbacks on the gym, the only thing you can do is save it. It's not going to add units to this building. It's not. I'm looking at it right here on Google Earth. It is flush with that line. So to say that you could actually do housing there is another daydream. So I don't understand why we continuously, like the at-large council said, dig in on these things. Let's use common sense. Why would we crumble a gym on purpose? It benefits everyone. I was told when I went into public service, you want to do things that's for the good of all. The gym is for the good of all, and if anybody can say that it's not, they're lying, quite frankly. So I'll yield with those. Since we're all indulging ourselves in our thoughts, I just wanted to put that out there.
Councilor Cameron.
I was going to resist, but yeah, no, I think we need to, try to not get ourselves too locked in because things may change in this. And again, I find this encouraging, and I know there's a lot of heat and passion around it, but I think there's also a common acknowledgement. We need to do something, or else this thing will crumble, and there's lots of examples across the state of that happening. There's lots of examples within Newburyport of municipal buildings falling by the wayside, or getting sold when they could have been repurposed in other ways. I will make two comments just because they were made here. There can be local preferences put in place for any affordable units. That's quite common across Massachusetts. That's legal. That's not violating fair housing. And in terms of people selling and moving in, there often can be often and should be put asset limitations, so you're not going to get somebody selling their $2 million or $1 million home and popping into a nice affordable unit. There's processes in place for all that. So, you know, I'm not beholden to a number. I definitely want it to be affordable housing for seniors. I'm not opposed to a gym. I'm concerned about neighborhood impact. I'm concerned about pretty much everything that everybody said, so I can find something to agree with pretty much everything that, you know, at least one thing that each of you has said. So, you know, let's bring it on and see what we can do. Thank you.
No one else? All right.
Is there anyone else? No, we're not asking.
Motion on the floor.
So I would withhold my comments until we have the actual meeting.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Council.
And it will be Monday.
So
All right, the motion on the floor is to move it to General Government Committee of the Whole.
that's correct. Shall I?
Please.
Roll call. Council McCauley.
Yes.
Council Preston.
Yes.
Council Vogel.
Yes.
Council Wright.
Yes.
Council Zede.
Yes.
Council Cameron.
Yes.
Council Donahue.
Yes.
Council Khan.
Yes.
Council Lane.
Yes.
And Council Shan.
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Are we at orders?
We are at
Yes.
orders.
And the first order is 489, which is on the table. So
Motion to approve.
would need to be removed from the table with all due respect.
It was moved to a date certain, so I don't know that, is
You
it on the
might
table?
have
or
me
is-
on that one procedurally. Okay, I'll go with that.
It was a date certain.
So it's just on the floor, right?
It is. So you, I'm sorry, you said motion approved?
Motion approved.
Second.
I should learn to follow you.
Discussion. Roll call.
Motion to approve Order 489. Council McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shan?
Yes.
Thank you. Order 490, which is the State Planning Assistance Grant for, to rezone, if you will, Story Avenue and Low Street.
P&D or B&O?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Refer to planning and development. Thank you.
Second.
Second.
No.
Chair, Council President, if you would, could we take this as an omnibus kind of motion, if you don't mind? Order 490 to P&D, Order 491, 492, and 493 collectively to Budget and Finance, Order 494, 495, 496, and 497 to, and leave out 497, just 496 to Community Services.
Just
Second.
a friendly, can we add committee of the whole to the 492, the supplemental, just in case?
Yes.
And would it be committee of the whole on the first one as well, right?
The 490?
Energy contract with our community services?
No, never mind.
So, if I might, in summary, 490 goes to P&D, 491, 492, 493 goes to B&F, 494, 495, 496 goes to Community Services, with the addition of Committee of the Whole for 492.
Correct.
And who made the motion? Who seconded?
Councilor McCauley.
Councilor
I'll
McCauley,
second.
seconded by Councilor Preston. Thank you.
Clerk, do you want to read the order number names anyway?
Yeah, so 490 is, again, the State Planning Assistance Grant for Story Avenue and Low Street. 491 is the Port Parks Alliance Gift Acceptance of 425, excuse me. Order 492 is the FY 2024 supplemental budget. That would be Committee of the Whole also. 493, local acceptance of the Prudent Investor Rule for Trust Funds. 494 is the Spring Awakening Sculpture Gift Acceptance. 495 is the Rabbit Man Sculpture Gift Acceptance. And 496 is the Constellation New Energy Contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk. Further discussion. Roll call.
As stated above, Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shan?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Last one.
Order 497, which is the sponsorship of an administrative order to create the Recreation and Youth Services Department.
Motion to send to Community Service and Committee of the Whole?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Council McCauley?
Yes.
Council Preston?
Yes.
Council Vogel?
Yes.
Council Wallace? I'm sorry, Council Wright?
Yes.
Council Zeeb?
Yes.
Council Cameron?
Yes.
Council Donahue?
Yes.
Council Khan?
Yes.
Council Lane?
Yes.
And Council Shan?
Yes.
Perfect.
Thank you for the omnibus, Mr. Councilor McCauley. Ordinances.
Motion to approve on second reading?
Second.
Again, it's a handicap space at 42 Market Street, second reading. Council McCauley?
Yes.
Council Preston?
Yes.
Council Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zeeb?
He said yes.
Yes.
Yes, sorry. Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Point of order, that was not announced, it's ordinance 159. For the record.
Very good.
All right. Committee items. Councilor Z.
Motion to approve transfer 168 North Side Jetty 11319 to.
Second.
So the committee met on this on the 14th of September. As you recall, we just did a fairly major dredge on the Merrimack River, but because of the way the federal channel lines up, it's not really the way many boats traverse the mouth of the river, so the harbor master and the harbor commission wanted to do the so-called side dredge, which was an additional band of land or area in the river. So they did a lot of work to make that a reality, coordinating permitting and working with the town of Salisbury and working with the contractor. In the end, the dredge did occur, the side dredge did occur, but essentially the contractor essentially just made it part of the project and did not submit a bill specifically for the physical work. So that's what led to a surplus in this account, but it does not mean that the city and the town of Salisbury did not expend any funds towards the side dredge. There was permitting that had to be done. There were other in-kind things that were given essentially to the contractor in the form of patrols and things like that. So I had spoken to Paul Hogg and relayed what I had learned from the harbor master. And so in the paper, I think it was referred to as free money. His view was it wasn't quite free. So that's why there is money available. And then on the receiving side, we have a pump out boat. I'll spare you explain what a pump out boat does, but when the pump does not work well, it is not particularly pleasant to have to repair it. So they would like to replace it to the tune of this $11,319. And so this money essentially goes from the North Jetty side dredge project to this. But in a sense, it's sort of all in the family because the money originated from the harbor master funds in the first place, then got transferred into the North Jetty project, and then didn't get spent there, and now it's going to the pump. So it's not like there's a mixing here with the general fund or something like that. Again, it's sort of all in the family. The only other notes, so they've already got an idea of which pump they want, although it is going to be a competitive bid process, and they'll go with the most qualified, lowest bid. The only other two things to note is, and the reason I mentioned town of Salisbury a couple times is that they were to pay half of the north side because it's not really just it's the rivers in the middle. So they're not expecting any refund because, again, there were funds that were expended. Total design, for example, was $42,000. They paid half and we paid half. So there's nothing there. And then the last thing is that if you'll notice on the transfer, the surplus is in excess of the 11. So there's still more money left over. We asked why, wouldn't we just transfer the rest of it? And the answer was we're waiting for, they don't want to lock it up because if it gets transferred basically back to retained earnings, then it goes into the frozen pile because we're still in the freeze-out period between the end of the fiscal year and when all the funds certify. So this allows the funds to be liquid until that time, but the expectation from the finance director is that when the certification closes, they would not orphan this money in this account because there's no need there, so we would hope to see another transfer at that time. It was 3-0 in committee.
Thank you, Councilor Z. Further discussion? Roll call.
Council McCauley?
Yes.
Council Preston?
Yes.
Council Vogel?
Yes.
Council Wright?
Yes.
Council Zede?
Yes.
Council Cameron?
Yes.
Council Donahue?
Yes.
Council Khan?
Yes.
Council Lane?
Yes.
And Council Shan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next up is a motion to approve Order 486, which is a digital signage gift acceptance 967.
Second.
Thank you. This is from the Friends on the Council on Aging, donating $967 towards a digital sign. This is an indoor, it's basically a TV, to boil it down. I did get a question, is this like an outside sign on High Street that's got all kinds of colors and all that? And the answer is no. This is an interior, it's basically a TV, with the idea being that they'll put messages up to encourage visitors to check out certain events and things like that. We did have a little bit of a conversation about who will actually make the purchase, and then so through that conversation, the order was drafted in the sense that the Friends will make the purchase of the physical goods, the TV, et cetera, and then pass them off to the Friends, to the COA itself. But the value of it is $967, and they're excited to have it. It was 3-0 in committee.
Further discussion? Roll call.
Council McCauley?
Yes.
Council Preston?
Yes.
Council Vogel?
Yes.
Council Wright?
Yes.
Council Zede?
Yes.
Council Cameron?
Yes.
Council Donahue?
Yes.
Council Khan?
Yes.
Council Lane?
Yes.
Council Shan?
Yes.
Thank you.
Last one is a motion to approve Order 487, lead service line acceptance grant.
Second.
So this is a project that does appear in the CIP. I don't have the number, which project it is, but basically, there's been a regulation change at the state level that requires cities and towns to have a inventory of any service lines in the water distribution system that are made of or have lead in them. And then eventually, you must have a replacement plan as well, and those are due by October of 2024. Notably, the regulation doesn't require the replacement by a certain date yet, but you're supposed to have the inventory and the plan by October of 2024. So there were grants available to help cities and towns undertake this, which is a combination of the usual paperwork, shuffling, looking through records, and maybe some physical investigation at certain times. So the city did go ahead and solicit the grant and received basically $207,000 is the amount to do so. There was a scope of work presented, and they worked, this DPS worked with environmental partners. Folks probably remember that name as a consultant that reappears from time to time to put together this scope. This is not a competitive bid process. Engineering services like this, I guess because of their specific nature, are exempt from 30B, though it is good practice to get multiple quotes. So it wasn't clear yet if they were going to award it to environmental partners or to somebody else, but they will do that. We did lament in committee a little bit the just incredible cost it seemed like to just put together this inventory, $200,000 for a report, but such is life. And we did also ask if there was any idea of how big the scope of this, like are we talking millions or hundreds of thousands? We did hear back from DPS, but we didn't really find out. I don't know that we know how much we're dealing with. I guess when we get this report, we'll have a sense if we have miles and miles and miles, or if we have a very small amount of this. Maybe the first time having an old city helps, maybe everything's brick or wood, who knows. But it was 3-0 in committee for acceptance, and that's it for that one.
Thank you, Councilor Zede. Further discussion? Roll call.
Council McCauley?
Yes.
Council Preston?
Yes.
Council Vogel?
Yes.
Council Wright?
Yes.
Council Zede? Council Cameron?
Yes.
Council Donahue?
Yes.
Council Khan?
Yes.
Council Lane?
Yes.
And Council Shan?
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's it for budget. Just as an administrative note, because today's Tuesday, we can't make it on Thursday because I can't make the 4 to 8. So our standing meeting was moved to Monday, but then I just heard that Gen Gov is Monday as well, so maybe need to think about how the times go on that or think about it. But our top priorities, we probably would put off the roadway bond if the road plan isn't ready, because that's been kind of the blocking feature that we've been looking for. And now we have plenty of new work, most notably the supplemental budget, which is committee of the whole. If you're interested, it's about $185,000 of appropriations. So I will email you to see if we can have both in the same night and not conflict too much, because I'm sure folks will want to attend Gen Gov as well, because that's committee of the whole. So that's it for budget tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zede. Did we go across each other? Because I thought we'd already, well, we'll figure that one out.
Yeah, we can talk.
Okay. Community Services, Counselor McCauley.
Motion to receive and file communication 503.
Second.
503 is an extension of the Acton Head Librarian appointment. We had a meeting with the administration and Community Services meeting. This is the first of the 2 allowable 30-day extensions that they would like to have. We asked in committee about the status of the current situation with the acting. We got positive results, and things are good at the library, as we've been told. The search committee is positive. The library, the board of directors have a sub-search committee, if you will. There's a number of interviewees. They hope to have 3 finalists in the next week or 2 to be able to go forward. There was a question and concern about the archival center. We're hearing that there's concerns there, and so that was duly noted by the chief of staff that will make sure that that's an item that the new librarian, whomever that is, will be much aware of as they have. So we voted 3-0 to approve bringing it forward to the committee. We think that the administration having the acting continue on for another 30 days while the process continues is a stabilizing effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McCauley. Further discussion? Roll call.
On receiving and filing. Councilor McCauley?
Sorry, just a second. Does that provide enough authority to the administration? Shouldn't we approve the extension?
Well, we already, it came in as a communication, right? So we don't typically approve communications, right? I'd be glad to change to approval of the communication. But we did approve the actual appointment of this individual as the acting. And really, it's within the administration's purview to be able to extend that for 30 days. It's in our charter to be able to do that. So the communication, as we've kind of worked this through with the administration, the communication alerts us that they are doing that. If we had some concerns with that, we would raise them. We did not have concerns. We did have questions. And I would be glad if the council would want to change from receive and file to approval of the communication, but I'll leave it as a friendly amendment if so be.
Yeah, I would like to amend it, make a friendly amendment to actually approve it.
So friendly amendment, Councilor Preston?
Yes.
So it's now a motion to approve.
Further. Roll call.
Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Zede?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Shan.
Yes.
Council President, we have nothing else on our agenda coming out, but I do want to make note of a couple of things that are relatively new developments because of tonight. On our October 3rd meeting, besides some of the other events, we will address the item within on the administrative order. We will start to address that. We hope to have the administration there to be able to walk through some of the structure that they have and do a Q&A. And that really is in preparation for October 11th, which we'll hope to publicize to become a public hearing, which is required on this. October 11th, 6 p.m., and we'll try to get that in the paper through the clerk's office to be able to do that. But that is our target right now to be able to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McCauley. Nothing coming out of general government, and Councilor Zede and I will discuss Monday. License and permits. Councilor Vogel.
Motion to approve application 158.
I'm going to recuse myself on that.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, thank you, Council President. So we met with Jim on this and had a nice conversation. We have a couple of thoughts on it, and we motioned to approve 3-0 based on these thoughts. First, we talked about the music that will be provided by the recused counselor. He's going to be playing acoustic guitar we don't have a whole lot of concern about the noise, because it'll be acoustic. And then, the block party is allowed to continue to 10 o'clock. We asked that it be over by 8 o'clock, and that was actually suggested by the applicant. He thought it would be wrapped up between 7 and 8 o'clock. It's pushed down a little bit so that traffic can go around on Lunt Street there. So it kind of opens up the street a little bit, and then it moves on down from there. And then the alcohol, there's a beer wagon, but it's going to be on private property, which is required. We can't put it on public private property, so it'll be in his driveway. And I think we covered it all. If I didn't, I will leave it to my fellow councilors. It was approved, as I say, 3-0.
Thank you, Councilor Vogel. Further discussion? Roll call.
Roll call approving application 158. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston? Yes. Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Z?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron is recused for the record. Councilor Dunning?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Singh?
Yes.
Nothing further.
For the record, Councilor Cameron is back, and we know he will be playing at a block party. We know you'll be playing at a block party. So, planning and development.
Nothing to report. We did have our first meeting, as you all know, on short-term rental a couple of nights ago, and we'll meet next Thursday, October 5th at 6, and we are trying to get representation from our legal counsel. Don't worry about that. But I'll tighten up the questions so at least we can prep them ahead of time. And if we need another meeting, which I would expect we would, I believe it's October 12th is also booked.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and nothing coming out of Public Works and Safety, so good of the order. Councilor Zede.
Thank you, President. I just want to highlight potential collision. We have a lot of things that actually have statutory timelines. Short-term rentals has a clock ticking on it. The administrative order has a clock ticking on it. The tax rate will come in soon enough, and that will also have a clock ticking on it. And and then we have, Thanksgiving and holidays, like I just did 60 days from today, for example, and the administrative order takes us to November 25th. So I'm just suggesting that some broader coordination may help us not get absolutely squashed with the stuff that we absolutely have to turn out because of timelines that are beyond our control, and if there are things we can put off, potentially, even if it's unfortunate to do that. So just, and there may be other ones I'm missing, but just a note for us to consider for the chairs.
You're right. Thank you for the input. Further discussion? Adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call.
Good morning.
Adjourned. Councilor McCauley?
Yes.
Councilor Preston?
Yes.
Councilor Vogel?
Yes.
Councilor Wright?
Yes.
Councilor Z?
Yes.
Councilor Cameron?
Yes.
Councilor Dunning?
Yes.
Councilor Khan?
Yes.
Councilor Lane?
Yes.
And Councilor Singh?
Yes. Thank you all.